Recording now. Okay.
Sorry, I know you said it and it's a habit. I've been doing that. Well, first of all, let me go ahead and introduce myself, and we can all introduce ourselves just to say a little bit about who we are, what our background is, and what brings us here. So my name is Michelle Lau, and I'm the program manager for mathematics here at Alameda County Office of Education, welcoming you to the parent and family panel. This is a part of our Hour of Code that we've never done before, which is hosting some live webinars with our community. And, you know, we got hit or miss and lots of different panels and different perspectives. It's been a really enriching experience. We'd love to continue it again. And, you know, just again, to show people that behind all the code, behind all the programs, behind all the technology are actually people, right? Who run these things and hold power in certain ways and also make really important decisions and navigate our thinking. And so we're here today to kind of step into a space for families, whether they have kids who are interested in computer science or families who have concerns about the technology that their kids are doing. And all of us sit in a seat one way or another, I believe, that either we're parents and we have children and this is our daily reality, or we've experienced being the child of our parents, right? And we have to kind of figure out, what do we do when our parents have a strong say in what we want to explore? So I'm here, I'm going to introduce my colleague who's also at ACOE, and then maybe we can go around the room.
Hi, my name is Sarah Green. I'm the program manager for elementary mathematics at ACOE, and I'm just excited to learn from you all tonight. I've been a teacher and a principal, and I'm also a parent, so I've got lots to learn. I'll hand it off to Chris.
My name is Chris. I'm a software engineer. I've been doing it for many, many years. I'm also a parent. I have 2 kids, and yeah, I've always, I guess I've been around programming and coding for a long time. So yeah, happy to share about my experiences. Oh, I guess I will pass it on to, apologize if I mispronounce your name. Is it Karaya?
Hello, everyone. Good try. Good try, Chris. My name is Kavria Shabazz. I am the Deputy Executive Director with the organization Higher Ground, and I'm also the founder of a public speaking platform called Kavria Speaks. I've been working with youth in community engagement for the past 15 years within the city of Oakland, and provided resources like coding, like tech, like community engagement right into the living rooms within all of our youth. So I'm very happy to be here. And I will pass it to Ming.
For the record, I had to make 2 attempts for Karia's, and still correct me if I'm wrong, name, but it's a beautiful name. Thank you for that.
Hi, everyone. I'm a senior in San Francisco State University, and my major is computer science. And that's all I have. I think I'm going to do a presentation later. Yeah, thank you. And I'll pass it to Song.
Yep, that's me. Hi, everyone. My name is Q, and I'm a software engineer. I've been working as a software engineer for the last 12 years. So I find programming is really interesting, and it's a great thing to share. So I'll be happy to share my experience here today.
Well, thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. Maybe we can start out with, because some of you are programming engineers or software engineers, some of you are studying computer science, and we have a community specialist in the house. Can you share a little bit about how your journey to where you are in terms of computer programming, or your involvement and support of computer programming? And there's no order, anyone can just jump in. Yes, I was just going to ask, someone asked to repeat the question. Can you share about your journey, how you got into computer programming, or how computer programming has gone into your life? It might go both ways.
Yeah, I can start. Um, so so I majored computer science when I was in South Korea. I didn't choose CS as my major. My GPA in my freshman year was low, so I was assigned to the CS major. So my background doesn't have like other great programmers like entrepreneurs like Jack Dorsey from Twitter or Elon Musk or Bill Gates. Not like those people. I wasn't interested in computer programming, but I did my major and I started working as a software engineer. And when I was working as a software engineer, I started learning really like what kind of like a good things we can get out of software, out of a programming. The first one is like, I would say like a compensation is really great. And then second, like opportunity, it's absolutely great. And you guys are in the center of this opportunity right now. It's you guys live in NorCal. It's another great thing. The programming, you as a software engineer, you are always encouraged to learn new technologies. So you keep learning new stuff every day. And you are encouraged to share those new things with your coworkers. So it builds your the relationship with your coworkers very naturally. So yeah, and it's very fun. So yeah, that's all I can say.
I guess I'll go next. I was introduced to computers probably because of my dad. My dad was an electrical engineer, which is slightly different, but he was always into technology. And I can remember him bringing home like a computer. It was it was an early like Macintosh or something. We like played with it, and I think that got me at least used to working with a computer. And it wasn't actually until college that I kind of got into computer science, mainly because my brother was into it and I kind of just tagged along. But similar to like Q, I think it's a very, I think I've learned a lot from it. And I think it helps. I think one of the fun aspects of it is problem solving. Like you're given a task and you try to figure out the best way to solve it. And I think it can help with like creativity as well. And it kind of makes you think in like a very logical way. Like, do this, don't do this. Well, this doesn't make sense, so we should do this. So it kind of helps you try to solve problems in a logical way. So I think that's really helpful.
Well, I can go ahead and go next. So I was a little pushed, thrown into this field of technology. A lot like so many others, I was a little afraid of the science and math when growing up. I majored in communications, but as you can see, you cannot avoid it. As I begin to build programs and we find out what is really what type of exposure do our students need? What type of college and career opportunities do our students need? And so I was with the task of bringing coding and bringing new technology programs within all of our multiple programs. So one thing I did was make a list of all the Bay Area technology tech spaces, and I visited those spaces and I found out what was actually the best program for a person who's not who hasn't taught coding, who hasn't learned coding before, and how can I teach that to someone else? So I was fortunate to find a coding program that we use within our schools today, and we were able to expose our students, and we were able to build robots and teach our students on how to control these robots and really make those connections into their daily lives. So that's a lot of how I got exposed, and now I'm in, you can't get rid of me.
I could share my some experience about this since I'm still pursuing computer science. So I have so this semester I went to Francisco Middle School to volunteer as a teacher assistant and like help middle school students to learn about programming. And I think it's very interesting because I only had like an AP computer science when I was in high school, but it was so difficult. And I didn't take the AP test because my professor my teacher was like reading the textbook and expecting us to pass this test. So I think probably we could support youth to pursue computer science more and also encourage them to be more interested in computer science.
I'm going to throw in a question because, you know, I've been sitting into numerous sessions over the week. And Karia, you brought up something. I think communication has been a huge theme across the board, like on two avenues. One is communication, like if, you know, you're working with a team, you have to have good communication, but also like to step back and think about the processes and communicate that into code is another aspect of it. I don't know, I'm gonna throw it out there. Has anyone else experienced and enhanced like communication skills by being a programmer or being involved in technology? Do you see that correlation between communication and technology?
I will say that regardless of like a person's background or you know what actual speaking languages they know, like computer languages can be like a common bond. So in that sense, it could bring people together because regardless of what you know language you actually speak, when you're working together with someone, you can both understand at least what the common language that you're working with is. And when you're working on a group project, definitely communication is super important. Like any job, you're probably going to be in a team and you're going to have to communicate regularly about, you know, what are you working on, what's working, what's not working. So in that aspect, yeah, programming can help with communication. I will say it can also, I don't know if it's, some people correlate, you know, being a programmer with kind of being introverted, but I think it's up to the individual. So it's not, I don't think going into programming will make you introverted, but I think it's often a stereotype. But I think it's up to the individual and they can, you know, they can choose to be extroverted or introverted, but I think that's what a lot of people perceive. Yeah.
Just to add to that, I feel communication and technology definitely ties in together, especially when we're talking about community solutions, right? So when we're talking about food concerns, living in food deserts, when we're talking about environmental solutions, when we're talking about issues or problems to that nature, I feel communication and technology, because a lot of these issues can be solved with technology, and having that communication to community members, to residents, to youth is one powerful tool that we can use towards solutions.
So to that end, I'm going to throw out another question is, we have some students, some are really young that are engaged, they're playing around with our coding campus, and they think it's just fun and they're doing that type of thing. And then we have some who have been asking some really questions like, how do I put myself in spaces so that I can really, see this dream come to fruition, which is to be a software engineer. And so my question to you is like, what would be your encouragement for students who are interested in learning more? Or maybe how could families support them in doing that?
My biggest thing, and something that has helped me to become more interested, is exposure. Allowing students to meet people like you all, allowing students to get out of the neighborhoods that they're in, to be put in actual tech campuses, allowing them to be exposed and to see people that look like them, that actually do this work, and showing that those connections, and showing that they can do it as well. Getting them excited about the actual possibilities of what technology and what coding and what computer science can actually do to their future, to their lives, and that impact that it has on the overall universe. When they get excited, they talk. We all know when students get excited, they talk. They're going to run home and tell their families about it. They're going to go home and talk about this at the dinner table. Making sure that we pull in other resources from other community-based organizations, bringing in resources, bringing in exposure that allow those questions to be answered, and that actually allow those students a chance to perform.
Chris and Q Song, you guys both work or have worked at tech companies. Maybe you can speak a little bit about your background, and then, what are your possibilities in terms of being able to, spread any kind of positive messaging around the benefits of coding?
Yeah, the benefits of coding. I will add to what Chris has said before. So one of the benefits that I found from coding is it really helps me to think rationally and logically, because there is always a specific causality. So when there is a problem, then there is always the cause. So nothing comes out of blue. Usually absolutely there is a problem. So it always makes me think very rationally and very logically. If something doesn't, because the code, when we are writing code, it's always very logical. So that was the first thing that helped me to improve, grow as a person. And like I said before, there are a lot of technologies. New technologies are popping up every day. It's very hard to keep up with it, honestly, but many things are very interesting. The people have a different philosophy when they are making their products, and there is a very large open source community. So we can always contribute to any open source project that we want to contribute. So there's a big community, and since we have a lot of different technologies, we are always encouraged to keep learning. I think that's one of the most important thing as a human being, keep learning. I think that's what I like about programming.
Yeah, for me, I think going to the back to the benefits, and Q touched upon this in the beginning. I think there is it is a good job market, and I think although right now as we're recording this, we might be in a recession, but I think the part of the reason that there are a lot of jobs is just because of the impact that you can have as a software engineer. Like there's so many different fields. There's, you can make web pages, you can write software that's like an app for a mobile phone, or you can write software that's used in a car or an airplane. It can be used in so many places. There's so many different areas: computer graphics, databases. There's so many areas that I'm not even aware of, that I don't know about, but there's a lot of opportunity to be impactful as an engineer. And I think that's why, it's really just harnessing computers and just, making them useful for our lives. And that's why there's a lot of opportunity. There's like a famous line from a guy named Mark Andreessen, which is like, software is eating the world. So I think basically there's just a lot of impact you can have, and I think that can be a great thing. One last thing I'll say is, I think the other thing that's, I think, interesting and fun about programming is you're creating something. So it may not, even though your program, it might only be used for like a homework assignment, or maybe it's only used within a small portion of your company, you're still creating something. And that is kind of like, creating something is always fun, whether it's like you're playing you're playing a piano song, or you're baking a cake. Like, you're creating something, and it's always fun to create things, and it's really fun when people appreciate what you've created.
Yep, I agree with Chris. So there are so many opportunities. So if you like music, you can work for a music company. If you like a movie, you can work for a movie company, or you can work for a streaming company. If you like insurance, maybe you can work for Geico. So you can work for any places if you're a software engineer. So that's one thing I can add to that.
I was going to ask Ming, since you are a senior, what do you want to do with your education around computer science?
Oh, actually, I haven't decided because, computer science is a broad study, and it involves like front end about UI design, or even back end about database. So I have no idea. But I think for talking about the method to promote students to learn about computer science, I think parents should not always highlight like high salaries. I mean, it's a good reason and it's very common, but it doesn't support you like strong enough to support you to endure numerous like errors when the errors, it doesn't support you like endure like numerous errors pumping out when you are programming. So I think students should find like what they are really interested in, and or they could imagine their contribution to society, or like what level they want to achieve. And so for me, I think I will or study more about image classification, which is about the CV, computer vision. Yeah.
Carrie, you're going to say something.
Yes, I just love how Ming, you brought it all the way home. That's very important to ensure that, yes, this does bring the big bucks, but what does it do and how does it contribute overall to society? How does it contribute to your growth as an individual? How does it contribute to making your neighborhoods better? So making those decisions and thinking of that as you go into different careers. And I love how, Kai, how you set the different examples of how you can work with these different companies, so you can put what you love, what you're passionate about, and then your skill, which is your computer science, and put that all together. And as youth, ensuring that we are exposing them to every level of that so those decisions can be made. So that was right on point.
It was interesting because yesterday we had, a group of college students that I think are in the same class as Ming, and they were talking about how they are computer science majors, but they actually didn't start out that way. Their parents wanted them to be one major, and then, whether they got the class or not, they ended up, going into it as a second choice. And I'm just curious because it seems like I'm just thinking about your introductions and what you shared. I don't know Chris, you said I'm going to be, a computer scientist when you're at a pivotal point in your life. I don't know about you, Q. You said that you studied it in South Korea. Ming, I don't know if sounds like the AP teacher was not the pivotal person, but I don't know if your parent was like, you need to learn computer science. Kyrie, you were pulled into it because of need by the community and because of your work. So I'm going to ask, like, what are those forces, those big forces that impacted your decision making to either do something like study computer science or be more involved in technology, or maybe step back away from that, if that exists? So any influences or specific experiences that was like, yes, this is for me, or maybe not. You just kind of walked your path and here you are, computer science.
Well, I know particularly for me, it was the need to see representation in these spaces. It was the need to know that our students, our kids within the communities that we worked in, that they needed a voice, that they needed a seat at the table, that they needed to be within the pipeline to have these high paying jobs, to have these jobs that control a lot of what goes on within society and actually controls the future and the direction of what society is into. So ensuring that there was representation, that was a big force for me to get involved and for our organization to get involved, to ensure that these students were uplifted and they were actually put in positions just like you all are sitting right now.
I don't, I guess I'm kind of giving an honest answer. I don't think there was necessarily something that pulled me to it. But my major in college was actually economics. And I think giving an honest answer why I got into it was essentially like the job market was really good. And I think it was probably more difficult to get a career as an economics major. And I had a minor in computer science, and just with that, I was able to get a job. And I later went back to study more computer science, and I think I stayed with it because one is I thought like what I learned was interesting. A lot of the things, like Q touched upon it earlier, like you're always learning new things. And that in itself is interesting. And you can learn computer programming in some area, like it could be in the context of web pages, or it could be in the context of the medical field, but you're programming, you're not just learning programming, but you might also be learning about the specific field that you're programming for.
For me, what keeps me in programming, what helps me to stay here is the first, it's really fun, but second, it's very challenging. So when I was in school, even though I didn't choose my major, I was pretty good at computer science. I thought I was good, but I started as a software engineer 12 years ago, and I started learning that it's way more challenging than I thought. There, yeah, so the challenging part that keeps me in programming oddly, because it's fun and it's challenging. You know, you challenge yourself every day, and no matter where you work, no matter what you do. So that's what keeps me in programming.
And for me, the major reason I chose computer science is similar to what Chris has mentioned before. And my father learns about EE, and he founded a company about cloud saving, but eventually it fails. And he knows how computer science is important to future career. And of course, they mentioned about high salaries. But what really brings my interest in computer science is the project that I did for research, which is about image classification. And then I realized that it could be applied to many more fields, not only just autopilot, but also like detecting diseases, medical areas, and also like and also many fields.
I think it's interesting that Ming brought up your research because I've been hearing kind of twofolds. Like some people said, I want to study computer science. And so they enroll themselves. They try to teach themselves through, I think it's called Code Academy or something, like, you know, different sites and things like that. And then there's a good, I would argue a greater majority of people who wanted to do something, whether it was for their community, for medical research and health benefits, for themselves to create that cake and that product, that they're like, I want to do this. And coding was a means to get there. So it's interesting that kind of both those avenues are coming up. So I guess, you know, I wanted to just kind of tie up a few things because when Chris and Ming were sharing, you mentioned both that your fathers were involved in the process. And I don't want to usurp the panel, but that was my biggest influence in becoming a mathematician was my father. My father worked at Xerox, if you even know what that is, but they were a copy machine company. And then he ended up getting a job at Lockheed. Not as an engineer of any means. He fixed the printers because of his experience at Xerox. And so he, when he worked at Lockheed, he worked in the evenings because, you know, the people who use the printers would use it during regular office hours. And when it breaks down, he goes in and he fixes it at night. And I remember that he used to bring these like parts and contraptions, you know, to tinker with. And then occasionally he'll sneak in like a old programming book or something like that, and he would read on the side. And then when I was in high school and I had trouble with math, I would do all the problems and leave it on the table because he would come home when I went to sleep and he would write notes next to my homework. And then I wake up in the morning, read his notes and go, okay, I know how you did it now. So it's kind of like so you guys touched upon this notion of someone inspiring this curiosity and supporting learning. So that's what my father did, and it sounds like some other parents did that. And maybe that's kind of what we want to lift up and encourage for parents and families to do, is create spaces for kids to explore and learn. And so if parents want to do that, or family members want to create those spaces of learning, now we have not binder paper left overnight on a kitchen table, which was my way of learning, but we have, like I said, asynchronous courses that are free. Q, you mentioned some open sources. There's some community organization, Kyria, that you're aware of. Ming, I don't know with you working with the middle school students, but what is out there, so that if you're curious as a student, or if you want to support the student with learning, with opportunities, do you have some tangible recommendations, like check out this, or look at this, or general practices?
Oh, I think the tool they use for now is very basic programming. Like it's not just like it's like dragging all the conditional statements together. It's done by Thunkable and Scratch, which is simple for middle school students. But what we used is like Y3 schools or Stack Overflow. That's what we used in college. And Stack Overflow is very common because every programmer like post their questions there and get answers. And I also know there's a website published like a few days ago. It's called, let me see, what is the name of it? Oh, it's called Chat GPT. It's like a website, and you type the requirement, and then the AI could accomplish it and rapidly. And they say that it's very, very convenient. Yeah, so I think probably students could use that website for learning profoundly.
Yep. Just like Ming mentioned, when I'm working, I do my attendance check every day at Stack Overflow. That's my go-to place whenever I have any problems. And other than that, you can ask Michelle for my email. I can, my email is tangible for one. I have friends at Apple, Google, Facebook, not Netflix, but I can find somebody on Netflix as well. So if you have any questions, I can, if that's just something I can answer and help, I will do that happily. If you want to know about some other companies where my friends are working, then I can definitely get you connected.
I think, I guess for me, I think, yeah, parents should, I think, start with just encouragement and exposure. Not just about programming, but maybe any activity, just exposing them to that. Kyria touched upon it earlier, and I completely agree. I think for programming, make it fun. Try to make it fun. And I think one way to do that, just as an idea, is making a web page. A web page for a young kid, it's a fun way to get instant feedback, like an instant way of making something. And it's like, oh, look, I have words, and I have colors, and I have pictures, and I maybe make a web page about themselves. My name is Joe, and I have cats, and I live here. And you can put it on the internet and share it right away. And that could be a really fun experience for a kid. So starting with little baby steps, you could slowly moved into JavaScript, where you get really into programming and stuff. But I think for programming, make it fun. Like, I think it's a struggle. Like it's not actually easy. And, you know, as Ming is currently a student, it's not always fun. I mean, there are people who have to, I can remember in college and grad school staying up late at night, like, and just like so frustrated, like, why isn't this working? You know? So it's not always fun, but so for kids, start out just by making it fun, and hopefully they'll stay motivated and interested. And as far as educational resources, there are so many, and Michelle touched upon Codecademy. One that I just tried out today was code.org, which I don't know if they organize this hour of code, but code.org has some online stuff, which is, it's free, and I think it's pretty good. And they had some of those languages similar to what Ming mentioned. Like there was something called Blockly, where you drag and drop some things and it kind of generates a program. So I think that's definitely one to check out. Yeah.
So cool. You mentioned Blockly. That's what that was what I was going to mention as well. And that's one of the programs that we're using within our after school programs within Oakland. Another organization that has summer camps and all year long is Black Girls Code. They've been on the move for a while now and really recruiting young girls to really be exposed to this. Youth Uprising has coding classes. Youth Uprising is a teen organization. It's a youth organization that allows youth to find jobs and gives them jobs placements, and it also provides them safe spaces where they can build their islands of competency. Spikeview is, I love the idea of building your website. So what Spikeview does is allows you to create like a LinkedIn, but for kids, for youth, right? So you get to say all your experiences, and you can use that for college applications, you can use that for jobs, but it's catered for youth. So Spikeview is really awesome, and you really just get to glorify yourself and really get to talk about your experiences. So those are just some of the folks that I've worked with directly that I know for sure works.
Thank you for all those tangible resources. While you guys were talking, I was typing away, trying to bookmark them. One of the things that we're hoping to do this weekend is send out kind of a follow-up email to all the attendees that have registered for our Hour of Code event to just basically share, like, thank you for coming, the recordings are here. But if you want to learn more, check out these things. Code.org, yes, is one of the featured things that we are going to be sharing. They are kind of an organization that is trying to encourage, and push forward this Hour of Code, because if kids can kind of play with those fun things on the website, you can choreograph a dance like Animals to Dance. And I think they added a lot of new songs this year, including We Don't Talk About Bruno. And so, I know my son was working on it a few days ago, and he was doing the Macarena in front of the computer. So that is a great resource, and we'll make sure we push that out. But there are some that I've never heard before either, like the Spikeview and those organizations, and we'll make sure we add it to our list of suggestions. So if you have any more, feel free to share them or email them with me, and we'll share it with the greater community. I'm going to pause for a second and see if there's any questions from the attendees, or I don't know, Sarah, you've been sitting, and I don't know any specific questions. If you have questions for each other, I just wanted to make some space for us to do a final round of question asking.
I don't see any questions, and I myself I've learned a lot listening to you all here. I appreciate you taking the time to share all of this with folks.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to share a lot of what I learned tonight with my 16-year-old son.
Wonderful. It has been such a rich learning experience this whole week long. And I thank you guys for making yourself available and carving out time in your evening on this kind of rainy-ish day to be able to, you know, talk about and encourage kids to go into coding or try it out. And I love the fact that we brought up really important words like joy and fun, because I know when I talk to my kids, I said, "Oh, we're doing Arab code." They're like, "Ugh." But then when they were able to play, they realized that coding is a lot more than what you stereotyped it to be in your head. So I think you joining in on this call definitely lays out a much more broader and more positive perspective of what technology can do. So thank you very much for being here, and thank you for the attendees for attending. And I hope that everyone has a good evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you.
you.